That, I'd like to introduce Ms. Colleen Gimple, and she has some introductions to make. This will be our presentation. So we've got the microphone set for them, so you might have to.
We're good.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Colleen Gimple, and I am the proud teacher of the wonderful group of 5- and 6-year-old students that stand before you tonight. Since February, we have been reading, writing, discussing, and learning about the environment and environmental issues that affect the earth, the oceans, the animals, and the impact that this has on all of us. The issue of plastic bags just seemed to keep resurfacing in our discussion, and being the proactive class that we are, we decided to take some action. The kids had a fundraiser and raised over $800 selling cloth bags. With that money, each student was able to adopt an endangered animal of their choosing, and the class also made a hefty donation to the Defenders of the Wildlife group. We also decided to take some local action, which is why we are here tonight. I hope that you might learn something new from these budding environmentalists, and their presentation tonight will inspire some positive changes here on Groseal. And I want to thank you all for affording us this valuable educational experience tonight. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started.
All right, so if you need to pull that stool out, please feel free to use it and pull the microphone down. That way if you step up, Mr. Fournier can get the camera on you.
Good evening. We're students of Mr. Gimple's kindergarten class.
Okay, what I want you to do is tell me your name when you come up to the microphone, because remember, this is a big time public meeting, and this is part of our rules. So
can we do that at the end? Is that all right? We kind of had it at the
okay, all right. If you worked it in, who am I to interject?
Did you know what percent plastic bags are recycled? That means over 90% of plastic bags end up in landfills. It takes thousands of years for plastic to break down in a landfill. Discarded plastic bags have been found as far north as the Arctic Circle. Did you know 12 million barrels of oil to reduce the amount of plastic bags the U.S. uses in 1 year? The energy used to make about 9 plastic bags equals the energy it takes to drive a car for more than half a mile. Over a lifetime, use of reusable bags, just by one person could save over 22,000 plastic bags. If every plastic bag you used this year was added up, you would be allowed 600 bags per shopper in your family. Many bags make their way to the ocean and kill millions of animals. It is estimated over 100,000 mammals and birds are killed from plastic bags each year. Adult seabirds eat plastic by mistake, causing them to starve because their stomachs are filled with plastic. 50% of all sea turtles ingest plastic. 6 of the 7 species of turtles have been found to ingest plastic, all listed as chronically vulnerable list. Leatherback and loggerhead turtles think plastic bags are jellyfish and they eat them. Nothing removed for a few minutes should pollute our oceans for hundreds of years. Ireland imposed a tax on plastic shopping bags and reduced the use by 1 billion since 2002. We would like to reduce plastic bags on Groseal by charging a 6-cent tax on each shopping bag. Band on Groseal! This land is our land. Let's lend a helping hand. Reduce the Nicholas. I'm Maddie. I'm Claudia. I'm Jake. I'm Caitlin. Thank you.
Well, all right, you say you would like us to impose a 6-cent tax on bags. I don't know if we can do that as a township, but I'll have our township attorney check into that. I don't know if we have that authority, but I'll bet there are other ways we could go about it. Remember when I read to you guys in class, I told you about Hawaii? They don't use any plastic bags because like you said, the turtles and the fish eat them. So they give you, or you buy, and you have a bag with you. And they did that on Grosse Ile for a while, if anybody remembers the green bags that the merchants had. See if you had, so I'm not the only one who remembers it. So we'll see if we can make this happen, but the ones who are going to make it happen is you, okay? So don't forget what you want to see happen, and make sure you keep leaning on your clerk here and your treasurer to make sure they don't forget. Mrs. Gimple, thank you so much. This is going to be tough to follow. It might be just adjourn now.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. Okay, well, all right. Are you guys going to stay for the rest of the meeting?
No.
Okay, one more? That was a very good job. Very good.
As they're on their way out of there, I will say that I'm very proud that I'm the parent of Andrew.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Nicholas is in the back too. But
Back there somewhere, yep. Now the bad news. The guy who has to follow that presentation. Good luck, Ryan. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you everybody for coming.
I had no idea that covered went over now. Did you?
You need the stool? I won't use the stool. Set it up? Yes. Good evening, Supervisor Loftus, Clerk, Township's trustees. I want to thank each of you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you tonight about the Senior Alliance. My name is Ryan Moore, and I'm the IT specialist for the agency. Our agency was founded in 1980 by Edward McNamara in the 34 communities of western and southern Wayne County in accordance with the Older Americans Act as one of 16 designated area agencies on aging in Michigan. Because our agency is state and federally funded, we are required to report to our fiduciary bodies. Since we were formed by the communities, we consider you one of our fiduciary bodies. Our agency's mission is that we empower people with needs to live with dignity in the community they choose by providing available services. Although we are best known for our Meals on Wheels program, our agency provides many other services for residents of your community. These include the Michigan Medicaid waiver program, which helps low-income seniors and adults with disabilities receive the services they need to stay in their own home. The Nursing Transition Facility Program assists qualified individuals with transitioning out of the nursing home and back into the community. Our MAP program, which is Michigan Medicaid Assistance Program, assists individuals in navigating the complex Medicare process. Our Information and Assistance Department connects individuals to the appropriate resources as part of our ADRC network. The Care Transitions Program is a national effort funded by the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. We help Medicare beneficiaries avoid hospital readmissions. So far this year, we worked with over 5,000 individuals through this program alone. We also offer caregiver support and evidence-based disease classes. As you will see from your informational packets, over 161 clients have been served in the Township of Grosse Ile. The detailed summary sheet provides a breakdown of which services were provided. While we operate a budget of over $20 million, we are very proud to report that only 5% of that is used for administration. That means 95% of our budget dollars are going directly into the communities we serve. Our audits are unqualified and have no findings, no recommendations, or no management letters for at least 5 years. We ask that each community provide a match amount. Your match amount for fiscal year 2014 is $1,750. This amount returns almost $77,000 in services spent in fiscal year 14 in Grosse Ile. We thank you and appreciate your support. The Senior Alliance continually works on outreach to inform the communities of the services we offer. If the Township of Grosse Ile has any events that you would like us to attend, please feel free to reach out to us. If you or any member of the community would like further information on our agency, I'll be happy to answer any questions, or we can be contacted by phone by calling 1-800-815-1112 or emailing info@tsalink.org. You can also visit our website by going to www.aaa1c.org or follow us on Facebook or Twitter at AA1C. Thank you very much for your time and have a good evening.
Okay, thank you, Ryan.
Ryan?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I just had a quick question.
Yes.
Because it's two of the three largest amounts of money. What's the difference between a congregate meal and the home delivered meals?
Home delivered meals.
I understand that. I'm just not. I don't know what a congregate meal is.
So congregate meal is where they can go travel somewhere to get the meal instead of being home delivered.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Moore. That concludes our presentations. With that, we will, let's see, all open the microphone up to public comment on tonight's agenda items. So if anybody in the public present has a comment they want to make on tonight's agenda, here's your chance. But seeing no hands go up, we'll move on into consent agenda. I'll hand that over to our treasurer, Mr. Van Oss.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to move to approve consent agenda 15-014, which includes the minutes of the April 13th, 2015 regular meeting and the check register dated April 24th, 2015.
Support.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Van Oss, seconded by Trustee Budney. Questions on the consent agenda? All right, if none offered, those in favor of approving the consent agenda as published, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None offered? Consent agenda is approved. Moving on to action items. It's going to be the Jim Budney show for a while. Mr. Budney, if you would take that number one, please.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion based upon the recommendation of the DPS Commission to approve a contract extension from D&D Emulsions, Inc. for dust control service for 2015 for the 2015 season at the same rate of 58 cents per gallon applied.
Support.
Okay, moved by Trustee Budney, seconded by Trustee Smith.
Background on this. First of all, D&D Emulsions has been doing this for us at least since 2012, and they have held the line on their price of 58 cents per gallon applied since 2012. All the feedback we've gotten from the people who are on gravel roads or dirt roads seem to be very happy with them. They do a nice job. I believe last year, and Lorinda, maybe you can come up here and help me. We only had one application last year.
Yes.
And I think the year before we had two applications, but it's usually one, no more than two.
Yes, right around 64,000 gallons they put down.
And like I say, from everything I've heard from residents on those roads, they love it.
Yeah, they love it. And this year also, D&D has requested a 3-week notice before they come out because they're getting busy now. So that's the only thing different.
So this takes care of our gravel and dirt roads.
Is there a scheduled first application?
Normally, we try to wait until after the rainy season, so we hold off as long as we can, and usually right around first part of June, we start putting it down. It just depends if there's a lot of rain or not.
Lorinda, and don't you have Wayne County come out and do some grading before they apply it?
Yes, they do. We coordinate that with them.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Just to inform the public, the county does offer a dust service that we do not use because we use our own. Can you explain to the public why?
Generally, the county is slow in putting out their bids on it, and generally they don't secure it until towards the end of summer. So by that time, we have too much dust.
Yeah.
And they generally only do two major ones. They do, I believe it's Park Lane and Thoroughfare.
Okay.
And they don't take any of the other streets into consideration.
And what do they use?
I don't know if they
Brine
use dust, but
solution?
they use brine solution, yes.
And this dust bond we found to be considerably
Much
better.
more environmentally friendly.
Because I know it is a budgeted item through Wayne County. I just think we need to explain why we're taking that on for them, so.
We
okay,
take it on
thanks.
because we can do it quicker.
Other questions, comments for Mr. Budney or Ms. Benetto? All right, none offered. Living on a gravel road myself. Those in favor of approving a contract extension from D&D Emulsions Incorporated for dust control services for the 2015 season at the rate of 58 cents per gallon applied, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None offered. That motion carries. Thank you. And once again, Mr. Budney.
Thank you again. Again, a motion based upon the recommendation of the DPS Commission to authorize the purchase of one replacement flight dry pit pump in the amount of $22,430 from Kennedy Industries, Michigan's only distributor, a single source, for the wastewater treatment plant.
Support.
Okay, moved by Trustee Budney, seconded by Treasurer Van Oss. And once again,
Little history.
background?
Yeah, the raw sewage pump number 2 and the main pump used for pumping water into the wastewater treatment plant. That's what this will be replacing. It's a 25 horsepower dry pit submersible pump that operates with variable frequency drive that varies the pump speed to control the wet well level at 5.5 feet. The existing pump has 2 failures over the past 2 years. The last cost estimate to repair the pump came in at 50% of the cost of a replacement. I don't have here, and again, I'll go to Lorinda. The pump that we're using right now, when was that put in service? Do you recall?
I'm trying to think what Joe told us. It's been quite a few years on it, and it's failed twice now on them.
It's failed twice in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And,
15 years old.
yeah,
At
that's what I was
least
going to
15.
say.
I thought it was
at least
older.
15 years
Yeah.
old. And, we've seen for what it does, it gets a lot of use, and it's run its course.
Just curious, on the wastewater treatment, is there a backup pump, or when that stops, we pretty much shut down?
There's 2 of them.
Okay.
This is the backup, really.
Okay. Other questions, comments from the board? We do need to keep that plant running. It would be very uncomfortable here if we couldn't move the stuff. All right, with that, those in favor of authorizing the purchase of one replacement flight dry pit pump in the amount of $22,430 from Kennedy Industries, the single source provider, for the wastewater treatment plant, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None offered. That carries. Shop wisely. And
One more time.
number 3,
Yes.
Mr. Budney.
Motion to authorize a change order number 2 for the additional repair work to Section 2 East River Road from Manchester to Grow in an amount not to exceed $35,000 based upon the recommendation of the DPS Commission.
Support.
Okay, again, moved by Trustee Buddy, seconded by Treasurer Van Oss.
And what this is part of our chip seal program, and this change order number 2, we were going to do chip seal on the road between Manchester and Grow, and because of this winter, the severity of it, it has broken that road up to the point that we can't chip seal it right now. It needs to be repaired first, so that's what this is all about. It's part of the total of our chip seal program.
Okay, questions, comments for Mr. Budney? I see this is going to be part of our match. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
The county residential
Part of the
program?
county residential $500,000 grant that they gave us, part of our match.
Well, we're doing our part. Other questions, comments for Mr. Budney? None offered. Those in favor of authorizing change order number 2 for the additional repair work to Section 2 East River Road, that's from Manchester to Grow, in amount not to exceed $35,000 based on the DPS recommendation. Please signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? None offered. That also carries. Number 4, Mr. Van Oss.
Yes, sir.
Please.
You want me to take this for you?
You might as well.
You're on a roll.
Based on the recommendation of the Airfield Commerce Park Commission and Airfield Commerce Park Manager, request the approval of an engineering contract between C&S Engineers Incorporated and the Grosse Ile Township to perform engineering services for the design and engineering of runway 422, runway reconstruction and lighting project. The cost of the above reference contract shall not exceed $324,521.90, of which the township share shall not exceed 5%, or $16,226.10.
Support.
Okay, thank you. Moved by Treasurer Van Oss, seconded by Trustee Smith. The ongoing problem.
I'll just do a preliminary on this, and I'll turn it over to Mike. But basically, as most people have heard, we've been talking about this for some time. And we're talking about a complete reconstruction of runway 422 with the assistance of FAA and MDOT, our share of this program. And we're not even sure exactly what it's going to come out to till we do this engineering study. But the last estimate was, I believe, in the high 400s, or 4,900,000 or something.
The one included in this engineering report is 4.138.
4.138 million for the total project. These funds will be coming out of the Airfield Commerce Park Commission Fund, which is an enterprise zone, and these funds will not affect or influence the tax base of the township in any way. Go ahead, Mike, give us a little background on it.
This is pretty much for the full engineering and design of our runway 422, our primary runway. This contract, we've already actually started work on this because the speed that the project is moving on, we had to start doing the survey, geotechnical work to even have the discussions with the FAA on how we were going to redesign it. So we have done some steps in this already. I apologize, the page numbers are not numbered, but if you go to the third to last page on there, you will see the design schedule. Just to kind of give you an idea of how quickly this project has to move with the way the funding is available. It'll show you down there. So we've already done the survey and the geotechnical work. The schematic design is complete. We've had a meeting with the FAA. It seems like we are in an agreement right now. We are kind of in a holding pattern waiting for they gave us a verbal approval in the meeting. We're waiting for a final approval on the schematic design, which is basically an agreement on how the runway is going to be laid out and how we're going to reconstruct it. So the next big step in there is the preliminary design and the meetings for that. This is kind of all going up to the bid letting in August 7th, which is when we'll really learn how much the project is going to cost.
Just a couple of comments on that. The FAA came up with this, as most of you or some of you are probably aware. We did a complete runway rebuild or rehab in 2005. We didn't completely tear the runway out, but we did a cap, and I think that was $2.5–3 million project. We anticipated at that time that this runway would last 15 years, 20 years. Obviously, we didn't get that kind of life out of it. We've been really hammering on the FAA to do something about the runway because we're having a lot of failures during hot weather, particularly where we're getting rises in the runway, causing us to close the runway and generate quite a bit of cost on repairs to those runways. So miraculously, somehow the federal government and the state of Michigan found some money, and they decided that they wanted this project on a fast track. I was not real happy about the fast track on this thing because in the reality we do not know at this point what the full cost of this project is going to be, and I want to make sure that we're not going to put the airport or the township in any financial jeopardy by committing to it But we did tell them that if, in effect, the previous estimates are close or within reason, we would be willing to move forward with this project. If it exceeds the 4.1 or 4.2 million that we're anticipating, there may be a problem with this project going forward, and it's going to be one of those last-minute things that we're all going to be jumping up and down about, but there may be some negotiating power between us and them during the negotiations as far as how much they funded, how much we funded, because we certainly don't want to put the Township's Airport Commerce Park Commission or the airfield in any financial jeopardy. So basically, we're putting a lot of money out there to see what that final number is going to be. We're hoping that it'll come in right there. We're pretty much on board with the fact that it's going to be an asphalt runway, but it will be a complete tear-out, which will improve our conditions there immensely, because I believe right now there's probably 3 runways there, one over one.
It's a reverse Oreo.
And it's creating a lot of problems. It's creating a lot of rises and faults. So that's just a little history for you.
Yep. Mr. Supervisor, if I may, just a couple more notes on this contract itself. The way this normally gets approved is the FAA releases a set of rules nationwide that says all the contracts have to follow under this. Our state is a block grant state where MDOT Aeronautics is basically in charge of delegating that authority throughout the state. With them funding 95% of this, we review this ourselves, but I rely on them a fair amount for that because they're funding 95% of it. They check it against their standards for hours, the fees and assessing, all that things that are charged through this, and then once they sign off on it, it comes down to us. So we've reviewed this as well, but we do rely heavily on the state for this contract for approval. And then there will be a follow-up contract to this. I was hoping to have it at this meeting and do it as a package, but the state wasn't able to get their proposal together in time. So there will be a follow-up. It'll basically be the exact same thing, but it'll be for the funding for this project from the state, approving that. So we're approving the contract with our engineer tonight. The second contract will be for the state funding the engineer.
Authorization and appropriation. Yep. Okay, other comments, questions for Mr. Bundy?
Question on the runway itself, if it's going to be asphalt,
we're okay as far as through the weather?
We don't know definitely that it'll be asphalt. We're going to compare the two. They're going to give us a price on both concrete and asphalt, but
correct.
Assuming what I know right now, probably will be asphalt.
A majority of the general aviation airports in the state are at asphalt runways, so we're a little bit unique that we have both concrete. There's a fair amount that have asphalt, and the preliminary estimates showed concrete being almost double the cost of materials. So just at a glance, it wasn't something we thought was within reach, but we still wanted to look at it.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments for Mr. Duker? Or Mr. Bundy? All right. With that offered, okay, those in favor of approving the engineering contract between CNS Engineers Incorporated and Greenfield Township to perform engineering services for the design and engineering of the runway 0422 runway construction and lighting project. The cost of the contract not to exceed $324,521.90, which the township share shall not exceed 5% or $16,226.10. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None offered? All right, we'll see you, motion carries. We will see you in May.
All right,
with the other contract. All right, action item 5 has been deferred. With that, we'll move on to the clerk's report.
Mr. Supervisor, so as everyone knows, we have an election coming up next Tuesday, which means that we've got some election details here. Qualified voters may apply to receive absentee ballots for the May 5th election now through Saturday, May 2nd at 2 p.m. The clerk's office will be open this Saturday from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. for absentee ballot requests. If you do get an absentee ballot in person, and you can receive an absentee ballot in person at the clerk's office until 4 p.m. on Monday, May 4th. However, those ballots must be voted and submitted before leaving Township Hall on that date. And just a reminder that unvoted ballots must be handed to the person that they are issued to. Family members may not pick up ballots for each other. Ballot request applications may be picked up and delivered to the clerk's office by family members. However, the ballots will be mailed to the registered voter. The last day ballots may be mailed from the clerk's office is Saturday, May 2nd at 2 p.m. St. James Episcopal Church on East River Road will continue to be the voting location for precincts 3 and 4 for people who previously voted at the VFW Hall. Voting locations will be open on Tuesday, May 5th from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. And please be prepared to provide photo ID at the voting location on Election Day. Michigan election law requires a photo ID to obtain a ballot. However, for those unable to provide one, they may complete a voter ID affidavit of identity at the precinct. And that's it. Oh, actually, in addition to the clerk's report, on the Groseal front in the national news, we know that we are on the top 10 safest cities in the state of Michigan, but the research is out today from the SafeWise report that we are within the 100 safest cities in all of the nation. We're actually number 31. And it does not only call out our police department and community as being safe from a crime standpoint, but it also gives some credibility or gives some accolades to our fire and rescue department as well. So it's good news for Groseal once again in the national spotlight.
Of the tens of thousands of communities with populations over 10,000, the 31st safest, that's pretty good. I'm real pleased. So pass it on to the guys, Joe and Duncan. Thank you. It's just a whole lot easier to brag about Groseal when everybody knows you're just safe here. So thanks, guys. All right. Thank you, Mr. Ranka. Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. For the month of March, Groseal Township had $12,322 invested in various accounts. These accounts generated an interest income of about $4,381, which is a 0.32%, which is decent for now. The Finance Office is working on compiling financial data or fiscal data for year-end reports for the coming annual audit. If you want a detailed breakdown of our investments, either go to my website or come in and see Annette, our Deputy Treasurer, and she'll give you one. The Treasurer's Office still sells passes for the dog park. The cost is $10 for a resident, $20 for non-resident. A valid Groseal dog tag is necessary to obtain a pass or proof of rabies vaccination for non-residents. Just a couple of more items. Of that $13 million that we collected, or we now have invested, I just thought it might be interesting. I know, Woody, you're always interested in legal fees. And you hear me complain sometimes about the contribution to Wayne County or the lack thereof. And of our tax distribution monies that we get annually, for last year, for example, Groseal Township collected or received $5,622,000 and some change. Groseal, I'm sorry, that was Groseal. Groseal schools. The county, well, let's talk about Groseal. We received $8,422,000 and some change, and of that collection, $2,500,000 of it went to the SES or the sewer project, and another $1 million of it went to the bond issue that we have for the sewer, also for the sewer project. So we're looking about $3+ million of that $8 million going to those two projects alone. The rest of it to operate the township. The county, on the other hand, received $11,325,639, which is a lot of money. So I think when we complain about services or return on investment, we have every right to expect a great deal of cooperation from Wayne County because we're a big contributor. In fact, they receive the largest share of our income. So just as an information fact, probably doesn't mean a lot, but on top of that, we also pay them $113,000 in fees, such as permits and road plowing and stuff like that. So when I do complain about Wayne County and Wayne County's cooperation or the lack thereof, It's really based on participation with the communities that are contributing a great deal of money because of our tax base. The last item I'd like to cover is the Grow Seal phone book. I'd like to take credit. Our Rotary Club puts that phone book out every 2 years, delivers it free to every resident. It's kind of become the Bible on the island. I'd like to take credit for that, but in reality, it's my wife that does all the work, and she's working at it diligently. We're coming out with a new book. We're starting to gather the information. We need to have everything in-house by August 15th so that we can go to print. Joe, you and Duncan need to go over your last year's thing and put that together for June, so she'll probably give you a call, but we'll need to get those all updated. And anybody out there that's watching this, if you've had a change in your phone number, or if you've gone from your landline to a cell line, you need to let us know, because we don't. You need to know whether there's been a change of address, and if you're not in the phone book and you want to be, you need to contact June. Our number is listed in the book. Please feel free to give her a call, and we'll see that you're included in the new directory, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Treasurer. We'll move on to trustee reports. We'll start with Mrs. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Those were some really cute, talented, confident kids. We've got some good genetics on this island, and possibly some future trustees. Yeah, they should have stayed. Anyway, Island Fest is a mere 32 days away, and actually we're probably going to need more like 35 more degrees because it's cold out there. I mean, I can't even imagine that this is going to take place. But a couple of really cool things. We are going to have helicopter rides this year. Yeah, so more information at the next meeting. Potentially working on some pony rides as well, so a few new things to add to that. We still are looking for sponsors and vendors, so there's still plenty of time to get involved there. We do have the VIP fireworks tickets on sale, and those are advance purchase only. Adults are $60 and kids are 12 and under, and that includes a buffet-style dinner, soft drinks, beer, wine, private seating for the fireworks. So if you've never actually been in the VIP area, I highly recommend it because it puts you basically front and center. Other than that, go Red Wings.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith.
Yep.
Mr. Modesto.
Thank you, Brian. I'd like to thank Mrs. Gimple also. That was really a nice presentation by your class. It was very nice. We had postponed the Rec Commission meeting from last week to this coming Thursday, the 30th. Please attend if you're interested. Everything's going great with the fire department. Nothing to report there. I think that's about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Modesto. Mr. Budney.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Not much to report. No ZBA meeting this month. I know it always tears me up when we don't have a ZBA meeting because I know how much everybody looks forward to it. Our next DPS meeting is Tuesday, May 12th, and I'd just like to send along my best wishes to two of our Groseal employees, Sue Posiak and Tony Gray, both who had unfortunate health incidents this weekend, and both are recovering. And I talked to Wally earlier today, and I talked to Tony this afternoon, and it appears everybody's doing well, but just hope you get a speedy recovery. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Budney, and I'm sure that our sentiments from everybody on the board for both those. They're our friends, they're our family. Township Attorney Report. Mr. Assorti.
Good evening. Just to follow up on what Treasurer Van Oss indicated, that I will remind everyone, I don't think the board needs to be reminded, but I'll remind everyone that when in line with the taxes or what's collected, Wayne County doesn't kick in at all when there's a contested tax case and we go in front of the Michigan Tax Tribunal and the township pays my bill for representation during that amount, and when there's an amount in contention. And that's something always seems to get missed at the upper level. Rio Road Apartments, we've moved along. I've had additional discussions with the receiver. There is substantial activity now with the listing broker now that a receiver's been appointed. I'm very hopeful based on those discussions, and I'll leave with that. On the lawsuit that you all are a party of, we're waiting for a scheduling order from the court. As soon as we have that, I'll have an update for you. Any questions? Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Assorti. It gets curiouser and curiouser. Township Manager, Mr. Ream.
Nothing to add, sir.
Nothing to add. Well, I guess let's see what I can miss. Mr. Clark, are you going to brief us on Dump the Junk? I'll leave that to you then, and I'll step on to Carol's Island-wide garage sale. Most of these have flyers in the back. The Island-wide garage sale, still Friday and Saturday, 21st and 22nd, 9 to 4. There are flyers available. This is new, St. James Church rummage sale scheduled for May 1st from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and May 2nd from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. That's this coming weekend. Grosse Ile Herb Society, Herb Fest at Centennial Farm. Additionally, Tails is hoping an open house and bake sale from 10 to 2 on Saturday, May 16th at the Grosse Ile Animal Shelter. So come by Centennial Farm, by the animal shelter, be a lot going on. I'm sure Mr. Posiask would have covered these. The Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission announcing Bike to School Day on Wednesday, May 6th at 2015, with a rain day of May 8th. So if your kids are capable of riding your bicycles into school, please ride them into school. Those of us who would like to ride with them and show them support, some safety tips. I'm going to try to have mine dusted off and out on the road by then, so it's always great fun. BPAC is sponsoring bicycle safety class on Saturday, May 2nd at Centennial Farm from 10 to noon, along with anything else going on that weekend. Island Roadrunners will have their 2015 Memorial Day 5K and 8K run on Monday, May 25th. Flyers for that are in the back of the room. That is this big green flyer. For those of us not running, which is mostly me, please make the visitors to the island feel welcome. Give them a wide berth when they're sharing the streets with us. Let's see, we covered the safest city, and happy birthday to Lena. Didn't want to let that slip by. Let's see, legal fees, $2,780.64 to O'Reilly Rensselaer. We watch those closely. Red Wings are playing tonight, so I'll finish up quickly. And we did have the hot topic now, and you're going to start getting inundated with ads for it, because I think it was the news on the Proposal 1, Proposal 15-1 that's on the ballot, along with 2 school bonds for us, for Grosse Ile Township. But Proposal 1 is a constitutional amendment to the state of Michigan, which hopefully you all know will raise our state sales tax from 6 cents on the dollar to 7 cents on the dollar, with money going to road debt, roads, schools, earned income tax credit, and revenue, among a few other things, revenue sharing to the communities. Starting at the end, working backwards, Grosse Ile Township stands to gain the revenue sharing about $96,000. However much is going to go to the roads and the schools. I think $800 million was supposed to go to schools. I don't remember the EITC. Pat Somerville, our 33rd District Rep, gave an excellent presentation here. It's available on the archives and GITV. Do you have it scheduled at a particular time, or can they just call it up and run it on demand?
It's playing after every meeting all week.
Okay, so you can catch it on either on GITV or on your computer. He didn't promote or denigrate the proposal. He gave straight, it was an hour of numbers, and it was very neutral. This is why it happened, this is how it happened, this is what's going to happen. Please, if you get a chance, if you haven't voted already, please watch it. You will be much, much better informed as to how and why we got to where we are. The last change to the state sales tax, despite the stuff that's out there, the last change was Proposal A of 1994. The voters, wasn't Engler, wasn't the legislature, the voters raised the sales tax with the additional revenue from those 2 cents was earmarked, dedicated all to schools. It wasn't to fix the roads. That isn't why the roads got into shape. That was how that proposal was presented. That's how it was approved. And unfortunately, the general fund monies got deleted from the schools, so they're still coming up short. So anyway, if you haven't voted yet and you haven't made up your mind, expect about $12 million of spending in favor of it. And I think the news had the article about $12 million in support of Proposal 1, and about $800,000 is going to be spent opposing it. So anyway, it's your money. Get the facts. Look how it's going to affect you and vote accordingly. And again, watch Mr. Somerville's presentation. All the answers are there. And we've got a few handouts still available here. That one is from the Townships Association, which supports the move, although I don't know how it's eventually going to help us as a township. We just can't connect the dots. And then there's the other one that was produced by, I've got them both right here so you can see what they look like. Where'd it go? Okay, this is the one from Mr. Somerville. There's some on the back counter, full of numbers. Read them. And then this is the one that the Townships Association put out, and it's full of numbers too. But it gives you the background. This is a big deal, so please vote wisely. And that concludes my report. With that, we will move into a discussion item, and I'll invite our rec director, Ms. Boyd. This is, I wish the kids could have stayed for this.
I know, I was thinking the same thing.
Because you'd get mobbed. So anyway, Ms. Boyd.
Well, I was thinking about how I could sing a nice little ditty to, go with how the presentation started today, but I couldn't come up with anything creative, so I'll just do my PowerPoint. It started, when I first got hired, just on going on with Dale and looking at the facilities and getting familiar. Of course, you get new ideas that pop in your head and things that you want to do. And then during our budget hearings, you had asked some questions about, how can we do things a little differently? How can we add new facilities, or how can we upgrade our facilities? So I threw out the idea that I had about a splash park over at Water's Edge. So that kind of went into digging for more information, and then we presented this at the Rec Commission. You as a Township Board had a brief meeting last meeting, and so we wanted to bring it onto the agenda as a discussion item to keep it going and see where we can go with it. Sorry. So for those of you who don't know what a splash park is, or a splash pad is, it's a zero depth water play feature. So if you can think of a playground with water features. And the great thing about it is that it's a play feature that has water but zero depth, so you don't need lifeguards. There's very little to no maintenance with it, and they last a very long time. So that kind of counteracts everything that you have with a pool, the high maintenance, lots of staff. So it's a great way to draw people to the pool, give a great feature for our residents, and bring in additional revenue. We worked with a company called Vortex to start getting some of the information together. They're leading in the industry as far as splash parks. They were one of the first companies that did splash parks, so they were cutting edge when they came out, and they have stayed cutting edge, which is really important because things change, water features change, technologies change, and they've kept on the cutting edge the whole entire time. They have several awards. I won't go through all of them. But they have a great philosophy in how they design their product. Not just architecturally, they do it with aesthetics. We had a presentation about recycling. Most of their products are all recycled. Even the steel and metal that they use is part of it's recycled goods. So they really have kind of put it all together and really come up with a really great product. Inclusiveness, so everyone can use it. They have sustainability, so it lasts a very long time. They're very durable. They don't have, if anything breaks on it or scratches on it, the plastic is through and through. It's all recycled, so it's a great product. A splash pad, what it brings to the community and what it brings to is high turnover in visits. So you have reoccurring visits. It's fun. It's interactive. Throughout the play structures, there's different areas where the kids can play games. It's interactive with one another. They can play with a feature by themselves. So it kind of creates a nice imagination. Our kids are so tied to their computers and their Game Boys and their iPads and this. They're so plugged in that this gives them a little time away from that and kind of use their own imagination. They're eco-friendly, they're sustainable, they have very low water flow for the product that they have, so lots of fun, but not as much water as you would think. The splash pad has, again, a zero depth play area, and then it's inclusive for all abilities. And Vortex alone has over 250 features that you can incorporate into your splash park, so there's a lot of options. They have spray points, which is like the little water guns, or you turn something and water squirts out at your friend or at your mom. And then they have elevations, which are essentially like a large water slide, so you can have that splash park instead of just a splash pad. Again, it's zero depth, there's no drowning capabilities, and you don't have to have quite the staffing that goes with it. And then they have what they call water journeys. And water journeys are little prefabbed water games, or there's 4 different ones that they have come up with where kids can chase the water flow, and it's great for our toddlers, our little guys, so they have something to do so they're not kind of trampled by the big kids at the splash pad or in the pools. So one of the unique things with the system that Vortex has is they have what they call a safe swap anchoring system. So you can pre-decide what you want to do for years down the road, and they put in the spray heads. You can see in the picture the yellow top. It's screwed down, it's flat. They also make that a water feature. You can have water squirt out of it. And as your budget progresses, or as you get more money, you can swap that out with a feature. So you can pre-put in all your heads, so you're putting in your foundation, and then you can add to it, or you have the ability of switching your units around where it kind of comes up with something different for year to year, or every couple of years you can change them around, which makes, you can see the orange head, how it's spraying up. That obviously it's a feature, but it's not a large feature. And then you can see the blue anchored unit to its left that a feature is put in. So you have the ability to swap those out or add a feature at a later time. And this is just an example. You can see the little white circled areas where they have the orange flat heads. They haven't put in all their water features yet, but you can still see that it's very interactive, that people can play. And then you can see now where they put the blue anchored heads in and added their features at a later date. Their technology, I won't go all into it, but they have what they call toe guards or toe safe. So where the anchors are screwed in, there's no rough edges. The kids can't scrape their toes, so no bloody toes, no little scrapes. And then the see-through system, they have, again, all their materials are recycled. And the color is through and through, so you don't have fading in the sun or any of that. So the product stays nice for a very long time. And then they have tri-flow nozzles, which has varying water flows, and they have 3 different types of spray. So they're very, very interactive. So this is a design, we'll call it Concept 1, and this is where the baby pool is currently. So if you've been to Water's Edge, the baby pool is on the upper half, and then there's 3 or 4 stairs that go down to the larger pool. So this concept is just the baby pool area. It's approximately 68 by 68 square feet. So this is an elevation and several little spray features within the area. And it also has a buffer zone around so people can walk back and forth. If mom is going to the pool to watch the big kids in the big pool, she doesn't have to go through the splash park and get wet. This is just another view from the side. And then this is more of an aerial view. Now that is not the Water Edge pool house. That is a prefab building in their concept plans. But Dale always wanted to have a lookout view, so maybe in the future. And then this is the water journey. And again, we've been working with Vortex. We haven't paid for any of their services, so it's a little kind of skewed as to where the water journey would be, but the intended plan would be to the right of the pavilion that is next to the pools at Water's Edge. This would be a nice little side area, again, for toddlers to use. We have that kind of dead spot. It's gravel. It's kind of a headache. It's high maintenance, it doesn't really serve a purpose, so this would be a great way to put a little feature in there and make it interactive and make it a more friendly environment back by the pool. And these are just some of the spray features that I had selected that I thought were pretty neat. It's kind of a sea theme. They have tigers and seahorses and fish, and and there's a little crab at the bottom where the water squirts out the eyeballs and the claws. So again, they're very interactive and fun. Option 1 includes phase 1 and phase 2. So a grand total of $600,000 is basically the whole project. So it would be the splash pad, the low features, the elevation, and a recirculation system that the water is a flow-through system. There's 2 types of recirculation and flow-through. So you can have the water where the water, you use it and then it goes to the sewer, or what they call recirculation, which is similar to a pool where you reuse the water. It's chemically cleaned and it keeps fresh water going for the splash pad. Option 2 is just that. It's just an option. So if we chose, for whatever reason, not to open the large pool, we could move the elevation over to that area and then expand the splash pad where the baby pool is. Again, this is just an option. It's, we've had a lot of decisions that we need to make with our pool. There's a lot of money that needs to go into both of them to get started. Again, I'm not sure that we're to the point where we want to get rid of our large pool, but certainly this is a great option to put into the baby pool area and kind of reduce some of our expenses that would go into the baby pool area, and find it would be another way for us to generate revenue and bring more people into Water's Edge. And again, the water management system, we talked a little bit about it. They have the flow-through system and then a recirculation system. And then they have various technologies within the spray nozzles where your water circulation and the amount of water that you're pumping out, it stops if it's not being used. So there's a lot of water management tools within the system. So these are just some of the elevation type features. If we were to choose later down the road to expand, again, you can see that they're like full-fledged, almost water parks. And the beauty of it is the staffing. You don't need lifeguards, maybe a couple of attendants, and they're amazing. They're again, they have slides, but then the water flows through, so there's no standing water. So again, you don't need the staffing that you would need with a pool. And then these are the water journeys that we had discussed a little bit earlier. And so some of when we talked in our discussion earlier, you kind of had asked some of the savings and some of the, what could it bring to us? So I was very, very conservative when I came up with our cost savings. Staffing about $6,000 per year, chemicals at least $1,000 a year, permits $500, and there are no additional insurance expenses having the splash pad versus the pool, which is, it may even actually be a cost savings because we're taking out a pool. The staffing I was very conservative on because if we have more and more people coming to the splash pad area, we might need the lifeguards that were at the baby pool, at the larger pool, just to control the numbers there. So our staffing, we probably won't have as big a savings as maybe first anticipated. Again, I wanted to be conservative because obviously we don't want one part of the pool is really safe and so we want to make sure that we have enough staffing to incur the more people that will be attending. Long-term savings, we have to MARSite the pools every 5 to 8 years, which is just the baby pool is $7,000. Pool covers are updated every 5 to 8 years, and those are about $6,200. And then the boiler we replace every 10 to 15 years, and that's about $8,500. So those are expenses that we occur no matter what's going on with the pools. So that's a savings that we would save every 5 to 10 years. And then the potential, the revenue, again, I was very conservative on the new revenue that we can bring in. You can go based on what averages are in other areas, but you just never know in your community, especially we have a very unique community. We have 2 bridges you have to come over to get over here, so you don't know what you'll have. So I was very conservative on that, but minimum $35,000 to $60,000 per season is what we can anticipate bringing additional revenue into the pool. So we just wanted to make sure that we're making not only a great decision for our community to bring something, really invest in our community, and it's important to bring, we have our schools and we need to keep those young families moving to Grow Zeal. So this is a great way of adding something that's not only a revenue source, but it's a great assets to the community. So I just wanted to bring it back in front of the board to see if you had any additional questions and if there's some more information that I could present to you at a later time.
Mr. Budney.
First of all, Brandy, I want to applaud you for the idea. This is really nice. It's something that is new, and we see them springing up, in other communities. My one concern is the rec department and payment for this. The rec department every year has a problem taking care of what they have, asking for more money as they did this year. What research have you done as to being able to have this self-contained within the rec department? How many people have to run through it? What if you don't run enough people through it to get this kind of money? What's your backup so that the rec department won't be running to us for general fund?
Right. Well, the financing that I have talked with Ann about is our bond for the travel lift and marina repairs goes off in 2017. So the financing that we would have would start 2018, and then we have a 15-year payment plan, which if numbers all go, we won't take all 15 years. So that payment will be exactly the same. It just happened to be that way, that it's the same amount as what is falling off from the travel lift. So by having that safeguard of we already have that payment, we're just extending it, and bringing in the additional revenue, we shouldn't have an issue making the payment if not paying it off early.
So this isn't going to be put in until 2018?
No, we would put the bids out if all goes well this year, and then we would have 2 years until the payment started.
Internal borrowing.
Interest only for the first year.
Mr. Treasurer.
Couple of questions. The 600,000. I think your mic is. The 600,000, was that recirculated?
Yes, that is the full gamut. If we put in both the elevation, the splash pad, the journey, and the recirculation system. We can turn that, we can do a flow-through system and just the splash pad and not the elevation, but have the groundwork ready to go for that. But, if you're going to spend $300,000 to do that, and then a year down the road spend another $300,000, rip all the cement out and put the recirculation system in, to me, it makes sense to do it all at one time. But again, there is that option.
They should be able to give you some facts and figures on gallons per minute used.
Yep, I have all that.
Because that would actually determine whether you'd even consider a flow-through system. Number two, you'd have to check with the sewage department, depending on how much it does flow.
Right.
Whether they can handle the additional water.
Well, by having the elevation, we would have to have the recirculation system because you would use more water. So that's why if you do stage one, step one would be just the spray park, which is the spray features, and you can do the flow-through system. But if you graduate to an elevation, then you do need the recirculation system.
Because at the rate we're paying for water and sewer here on the island, I'm not even sure that the splash park itself would pay if we didn't go into recirc. It would be very costly annually to run that, if it got any use at all, which I'm assuming it'll get a lot of use. Most of the communities I checked with, and I did check with a few, their facilities are booked. Yeah. I mean, you can't even get in them. So you're on the right track, because I think this could be a self-generating. And just from a personal viewpoint, I doubt that I'll use it.
Are you sure?
But
we're going to tonight.
You could have a senior night or something, after midnight or something like that. You could wake us all up. But I think that when we cease to move forward with our plans and our thoughts, this could be a real bonus to the community, and I commend you for even looking forward to this, and I'm pretty excited about it. I think we can probably make it work.
Thank you.
Well, I love new ideas. I'm all about new ideas, but I'm just wondering, are there, because there's all, you build a house, and it's just not building a house, and you got to landscape it, and then you got to put your sprinklers in, and then, so have you thought about those other ancillary expenses that go with putting something like this? Because what, if you just put in a splash pad, because we're probably going to need new lawn chairs or furnishings, or, some sort of shade flags or sail shades, landscaping, probably would need new fencing around it.
Well, we already need new fencing. It blew down in the fall.
So great. Great.
So whether we want that in the budget or not, it's there.
Yeah, so signage, things along those lines. And if you have thought about that, what additional would that be?
There's 50,000 contingent in there to do those types of items.
Okay, all right. And then as far as the revenue between 35 and 60, I mean, I love revenue. But where is that coming from exactly? Just from user fees, and then how do you have that broken down?
Again, I wanted to be very conservative because Brownstown has their new park. They're doing 3 sessions a day, and they're booked all 3 sessions. People actually buy their tickets in advance. But will we get that same traffic coming over? We don't. I mean, it's, we can guess all we want, but until you do something and put it in, you really don't know. The guess is, yes, people are going to come, and yes, our residents are going to come, and we're going to probably sell a ton of family passes. So the revenue, I wanted to be very, conservative. I went on a 100-day cycle. Summer is 120 days. I did 70%. I times out my number, 100 extra kids a day times 120 days times 70%. And so where does that put us? So again, I was very conservative. And you know what? We are weather-based. I mean, I know everyone hates to hear that, but it is true. But the nice thing about a splash pad is, people will bring their kids to a splash pad when it's kind of an iffy day where they don't want to drag everything out to the pool. So it extends our season. We can open it up earlier than the pool. We can close it later because it's a 8-hour closing process, not a 2-week process. So it's up and running quickly, it closes down quickly. So our season, we have more of a shoulder season with that versus a pool, which we have like Memorial Day to Labor Day. So we have that extended. So I don't want to come up here and say, oh yeah, we're gonna make an extra 90,000. I mean, we could, but I want to be realistic and make sure that we are not spending with throughout, past our needs or what we could possibly, but the potential is there. But again, how many people will we bring in, how many we want. I mean, I'm trying to be very realistic, and it's based on averages of what other people do. I have a lot of friends and a lot of networking of people who have it. Up in Springfield Township, they put one in 10 years ago, and they can't wait to replace it and make it bigger. There was just an article in the Recreation magazine, and the top 5 things were that they didn't make it large enough. They wish they would have done the recirculation system when they first put it in. That they, so there's all these wishes that we can do right now that, we're kind of learning from those people's mistakes and not our own mistakes.
Right. Do you currently advertise the pool and the services currently taking place at the pool?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so then that would just be shifted budget as far as marketing expenses? Okay.
Yep.
Right, thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Mr. Malvesto.
Go ahead. I'll clean up.
Okay. Brandy, Ms. Boyd, thank you. I really appreciate your fresh outlook on the things that you're bringing to the rec department. I look at this, and I know that it wasn't planned like this, but if you look at all those faces of the kindergarten that were before us this evening, for environmental reasons, right?
Right.
I look at those faces and I go, how do you deny them? You're building a wonderful case. You got a lot of work ahead of you with the rec department to bring it forward, but I would just encourage the residents that are hearing this right now is to think about those fresh faces and what it would mean to them. And just the bright colors of this driving by is a natural, it advertises itself. Much like Ted, and I'm excited about it. I think it'll go a long way. And nothing ventured, nothing gained. Keep going. Thank you.
All right, clean up.
So, no, I appreciate the out-of-the-box thinking here. I mean, clearly we've got a baby pool that, in my opinion, is obsolete. Actually, I think the big pool's obsolete, too, because it's not, you can't race in it. But, to rather than putting the money in fixing that, I'd much rather put the money in something like this that does bring new life to the facility. Obviously, like Mr. Bundy, I'm interested in seeing the numbers and the financial analysis and what's going to make sense and what's not going to make sense. But overall, I think this is got a very positive potential here for the whole site at the at Water's Edge facility.
Well, thanks for, the board has seen, this is my third presentation, the board has seen this, and I get just as excited every time. Your options, evolution or extinction. Let's evolve, let's move on to what residents have come to expect in other communities. We see successes elsewhere, so.
I do have a short video if you want to see one in action. It's like 60 seconds.
60 seconds, we can afford 60 seconds. Yeah, if the kids were still here, we'd probably have
I don't know.
We'd be pretty excited.
You can't hear.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool. That's what I want to carry.
They shoot each other.
I like that. I think no chance of me drowning in that. Can I click on this one? Yeah.
Could you click on this one?
Cool.
Senior night. Senior night, yeah. Fine.
Oh, there's a key.
That's not really, that's just something that their pool that they have there. You can hear the kids like, this is awesome.
I could see that same group of kids doing the same things and just with a lot more noise.
I would pay a lot of money if I could have kept them here.
Yeah, it would work. Okay, other questions, comments for Ms. Boyd? Brandy, thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's exciting. All right, any comments from the board? Any further comments? Okay, with that, that will conclude our discussion item, at least for now. Open up to public comment. Yeah, you know the rules. 3 minutes, introduce yourself. Mr. Hocking.
First thing, before I say my name, can I give a comment on that splash pool?
You've got 3 minutes.
Well, I need another minute. I went up to a church function in Lansing, and they had a picnic a few years ago, and the group outside of Lansing went to a park with a water thing for the children, and they chose to go there on purpose so the children could have fun. And then a little bit away from that area, we had a picnic.
Did it look like they were having fun?
It was I couldn't remember, it was a lot bigger than that, so they had the little children like in that area, but like they showed here, but they had more up, I don't know if I was near a pond or not, or a lake. It was outside of Lansing, East Lansing, from outside of downtown Lansing. We went through the Capitol to get there. But it was, the little kids had their area, but they had older children or adults in water too. It was quite large park. So my name is Jonathan Hocking. I'm at 8620 Stout, Grossville. I'm here to talk about somebody I met at a meeting I go to mostly on Mondays at 7 p.m., moratorium now, and 5920 2nd Avenue near Antoinette. And it's about, the meetings are normally at the same time as this meeting's on Grossville Council Township meeting. I'm talking about Reverend Edward Pinckney and his wife. He is in Benton Harbor. Benton Harbor is tied together right next door to St. Joseph. You get off the highway, you go through Benton Harbor to go to St. Joseph, so you don't get lost. That's the easiest way. St. Joseph seemed like a very nice community, and Benton Harbor seemed good too. They're very nice communities. They're exactly almost like Detroit or Grosse Ile, but they're right on the water, absolutely right across the state. So you go into a river like you do on Grosse Ile. The river, faces the absolute opposite way, and I think you go across the river and you're getting close to Chicago there. Reverend Edward Pinckney, that I had met several times, and I have driven to St. Joseph. It's quite a distance. It's about, as far as I'm concerned, it's the same distance as the Mackinac Bridge when I went up north in the past. He fights the biggest company in probably Michigan and part of the United States, most of the United States, is Whirlpool. and he is located, he lives in Benton, Benton Harbor, that is tied to St. Joseph. St. Joseph has the courts, and it's a township. They had to try to recall the Mayor Hightower in Benton Harbor, and they accused him with circumstantial evidence that just because they said it, there was absolutely no evidence. This is like of changing ballot petition, recall petitions. And he's been after trying to recall this mayor for a few years. And he's a community activist. He has his own group, Banco. I can't speak right, so excuse me please, I don't read correctly. Black Autonomy Network Community Organization, Banco. And he has meetings, like groups, and he, what the problem was is Benton Harbor, St. Joseph had taken over some land that was donated from a family years ago to that community, that area, to have a park, a very large park. So they took that land and did what they would like to do. They put a nice golf course in, they built hotels. They all can be seen from downtown St. Joseph Court. You can just look whichever way, and you can see all all across the river and stuff. And they kind of trying to shut him down. Whirlpool is kind of, I don't know much about that company. I don't particularly have an opinion on them. I probably buy their products. But they are the largest company in that area. So he had challenging people that go along with Whirlpool. And they were griping about the golf course put in. I'm
going to have to ask you to...
Yeah, my opinion... what I want to know is anybody like... I told them that I would speak about Reverend Edward Pinckney and his wife. He's in prison right now up north, and he has different court cases, dates, and then some of the group drive over to St. Joseph. Like I said, it's 4.5 hours. It's 4 hours at a very high speed or rate. Excuse me, police officer here, but it is. And I said that I would mention that about Reverend Pinckney. If anybody else would like to know about it, I have a paper here that I'm not 100% familiar with. I just could not find my paperwork at the house. Just came home and had to come right over here. So if anyone would like to speak, we're trying to get him out of jail. He has been railroaded. They just went after him and sentenced him up to 10 years. He's a community activist, trying to stick up for his community in Benton Harbor.
Is there a phone number people can reach you at if you want to lead a convoy?
I could leave a number at 734-530-8429 is my cell number. I would have to get a hold of somebody and leave you where the story where they can get a hold of the newspaper here, People's Tribune, or the group that I go on Monday is Moratorium Now, or Macaulay. They're always protesting in downtown Detroit, and every time you see Channel 2 or 4, and the people out there with signs, those are that group. Okay. So, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hocking. Well, Mr. Clark, you got work to do.
Okay, Woody Clark, Park Lane. Dump the junk, the second and the third, from 9 to 4. Batteries, small ones, have to be taped. No big square ones or whatever, they'll be turning around. No cement of any kind, from a pebble to a block. Red oak, do not bring it, we'll be checking. Your jump to junk could be somebody else's treasure. Car tires, regular ones, not the big ones. Hazardous waste, flat rock, Saturday. Now on this boat on Prop 1, 40% of the $2 billion goes to Lansing special interest, not roads. The first year, over 75% does not go to road repair. Increase non-transit spending every year for over $100 million. Expand the current e-welfare program over $250 million annually. Increases the legislature's spending over $150 million. Okay, fix our roads without paying a ransom. Make funding road repair priority within the $53 billion budget per year. The House passed it in December. Special Electric. Okay, this is another one, you might want to write this down, go to your internet and put it in. It's very interesting. Jade Helm 15.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clark. In addition to the dump the junk, I think there's flyers back there for that. He mentioned the Wayne County hazardous waste that he says at Flat Rock, and this flyer tells you what you can drop off there. If you have electronic paints or whatever that dump the junk won't tell you, Mr. Clark will be glad to give you directions over to Flat Rock.
I think it's electronics.
Pardon?
I don't think it's electronics.
Now, let's see, CPUs, no. And also Riverview landfill has an electronic drop-off also.
Right.
So, computers only?
Computers only.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, so anyway, there's no reason to have this junk laying around your house. We're giving you avenues to be rid of it. So thank you again, Mr. Clark. Other questions, comments from the public present? All right, with none offered, motion to adjourn. So moved. Mr. Bugbee. Second by the Treasurer Van Os. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none offered. We'll stand adjourned at 8:53. Thanks for coming tonight. Go Red Wings.